Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We will see in this webinar a little bit about a very fascinating dialogue between sage Yājnavalkya and King Janaka. This pair, a Rishi and a Raja, is very unique. It seems they met a number of times and they were so happy with each other. They liked each other. They synced with each other. Their chemistries matched apparently. Yājnavalkya as a teacher looks like was made for Janaka, and Janaka as a student was made for Yājnavalkya. Made for each other, you may say. Therefore, among the several dialogues between King Janaka and Rishi Yājnavalkya that appear in the single Upanishad, Brihadāranyaka Upanishad, in Shukla Yajurveda, we will pick up a particular dialogue which appears as the third Brahmana of the fourth chapter in Brihadāranyaka Upanishad. Mind you, the word Brahmana here means just section. Fourth chapter, third section is what we will see. However, with this limited time available, we will see the first 6 or 7 mantras only. In fact, I plan to do 3 or 4 webinars on this Jyotir-Brāhmana alone. The third section, Tritiyam Brahmanam, of the fourth chapter, Chaturtha Adhyaya, alone has 38 mantras. And all these 38 mantras together are called Jyotir-Brāhmana, because Jyoti here means light. Brahmana is section. This entire section, to which this webinar is just an introduction, there is much more to learn, and I assure you the mantras across this Brahmana or section are all very fascinating. There are gems of revelations in this particular section among the 38 mantras. And when I say gems of revelations, I mean they actually help us have a tremendously greater clarity about what it is to be Chit. You and I in the early classes themselves listen to or hear that we are sat-chit-ānanda. Among the 3 pointers given, Chit means pure consciousness, pure awareness. It is the light of all lights. And even as years pass, in my experience, majority of Vedanta students do not really know what it is to be Chit. They know words, they know mantras, they know shlokas, but they have really not seriously and intensely understood the significance of being Chit. If any of you wants to really understand Chit in such a way that your self-perception undergoes a dramatic change, you will see yourself differently. You will see yourself so differently that a whole lot of your worries and anxieties, fears, etc. vanish into thin air. If you want that kind of clarity, I suggest lock horns with this third section of the fourth chapter of Brihadāranyaka Upanishad. Lock horns with this and exert, go through this Jyotir-Brāhmana back and forth many times, read up, discuss, and do manana. You will find the rewards are simply most fantastic. Therefore, once more, this webinar is just a simple introduction. In order to take you through many subtleties, many of the nuances, many of the very intricate points, many precious clarifications on the Vedantic dimensions, I have to give several webinars on this, which I will do, and today I will not venture into many of them, for I will have to prepare certain material in such a way that you will really understand what I am saying. Without some proper representations, maybe some graphics, maybe some slides, maybe some ways of putting it all, I am afraid I will not be able to convey to you the profound appreciation I have of this section, Jyotir-Brāhmana. In Sanskrit, the word Jyoti is Rakaranta. Jyotir, that is the word. Like Punar, the word has a R as part of it. Though in other Indian languages we use the word Jyoti without R or without Sa, in Sanskrit, R is part of the word. Therefore, we don't call it Jyoti-Brāhmana, it is Jyotir-Brāhmana. That's the name of this entire section, one last time, running into 38 verses. Or in the Vedas, in the Vedantas, in the Upanishads original, we call them mantras. So let us enter into this Jyotir-Brāhmana, the magnificent section on the light. It's a discussion on light. In recent centuries, Einstein and other scientists opened up a great and wonderful discussion on the nature of light. Physics goes into examination of the nature of light, but in Vedanta, the word light is taken to a different height. It's not those electromagnetic waves in a certain band of frequencies or wavelengths that human eyes can perceive, which is said to mainly have 7 frequencies: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, and red. But here, light is used in the sense of the principle that knows. The principle that knows and the principle that helps even the individuality know things. It knows and it makes us know. It knows and it makes the eyes to know forms and colors. It knows, in the first place, it knows, and then it makes the ears to know sounds. It makes the skin to know touch. It makes the tongue to know taste. It makes the nose to know smells. In all of us, there is this chit, and we are that chit. Since the mantras themselves give the little story background, I will straight away get into the mantras. To do so, I will share with you just 6 or 7 slides at this moment. Here we go, and I am going to take you to the first of the 7 slides in the presentation of this evening in India, this morning in the Wild West or Mild West. So we have Janaka one day finds Yājnavalkya coming over to his palace. Yājnavalkya comes to the palace to greet King Janaka. As I already had said, there was a certain intimacy. There was a certain mutual regard and respect. There was certain caring for each others. Therefore, even Shankaracharya says in his commentary that morning Yajnavalkya had come to the palace of Janaka not to give instruction, not to go about imparting some upadesha, rather yogakshemartham, he says. Bhashyakara says yogakshemartham. Probably it is as simple as making kind inquiries. How are you doing, O Emperor? Is everything going on all right? Or Yogakshema could mean Yajnavalkya might want some help in running his Gurukula, because Yogakshema is when you and I go get things which we need, and then we try to keep whatever we have safe. So he had thought, that's what, let me read for you. Janakam havaideham Yajnavalkyo jagama. Yajnavalkya went to Janaka. Samene, he thought. What thought? He decided in his mind, Navadishye. Today I am not going to talk philosophy. Today I am not going to talk metaphysics. I am not going to show off my Vedic scholarship. Navadishye iti ataha. However, things took a different turn. Yad janakascha vaideho yadnavalkyascha agnihotre samudate. Some time back, maybe a month ago or a year ago, we don't know, this Janaka and Yajnavalkya had met somewhere and had a very wonderful discussion, wonderful exchange of thoughts on the karma which is most popular, Agnihotra. They discussed, you see, both Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda, or you can say all the three, Jnana, Karma, and Upasana, on various occasions. And when Yajnavalkya noticed that this king is not a Vedic scholar, he is not a Brahmin who grew up in some kind of uh, atmosphere where every day they would hear the Veda mantras, they would hear scholars discussing topics of the Vedas. The king would not have that kind of atmosphere to grow up in. And yet, Yajnavalkya had noticed that Janaka had unbelievably clear knowledge of various subtleties, various hidden secrets of the Agnihotra, and being mighty pleased with King Janaka, Yajnavalkya had given a boon, as it says, Tasmaiha Yajnavalkyo Varam Dadau. That was on an earlier occasion. And Yajnavalkya said, all right, the boon that I ask of you, of course, is not going to be material boon, but it is not even an immediate question about some hidden truth of the spiritual science, but Kama Prashnam Vavre. The sixth line in this slide says, Kama Prashnam Vavre. Vavre means he chose. He chose a very interesting kind of boon, where the boon is about I should be having the privilege to ask you a question whenever I want. I should be having the special privilege. Anytime I ask you, you should be kind enough to answer. Kama Prashna. When you have a Kama, desire to ask, you ask the Prashna. And that day, being impressed by Yājnavalkya, or rather Janaka's knowledge of Agnihotra, Yājnavalkya said, yes, surely. I don't generally give this freedom to Tom, Dick, and Harry, but to you, this boon I give. Anytime and anywhere we meet, suppose you ask me a question, I will answer it. And today, even though Yajnavalkya had decided not to go about philosophizing, Janaka asks a question and Yajnavalkya cannot but answer. He has to answer. Tamha asmai dadau, tamha samradeva purvam papracha. The emperor, therefore, went ahead and asked a question, and that question sets the tone for this entire Brahmana of 38 mantras, where we are now left with just about 5 mantras more in this webinar. And what is the question that King Janaka asks? You can imagine Janaka has been mulling over this thought. For some time he has been wondering, what is that mystical principle in every one of us, human beings, which makes us, which empowers us, which enables us to know sound and light and taste and touch and all that, to know our own emotions, to know our thoughts, to know our worries, to know our happiness, all the time, from the moment we are up and active till we again hit the bed and go to deep sleep, all the time we human beings are aware of millions of things. And generally, those millions of things send us through varied emotions. What in us actually knows? Yādnavalkya, no, Yādnavalkya, Sambodhana. Janaka asks, Yādnavalkya, O Yādnavalkya, Kim Jyotihi Ayam Purusha iti. Kim Jyotihi is a Bahuvrihi Samasa. It's difficult to translate in English, but taking some liberty, we may say, Ayam Purusha, any human being, what does he have as the light inside him? Or what does she have as the light inside her? Kim Jyotihi Yasya Saha Kim Jyotihi is a very complex Bahuri Samasa, not possible in other languages as far as I know, because part of the Samasa is an interrogative pronoun. Having an interrogative pronoun as a limb or a part of the Bahuri Samasa is unthinkable. Kim Jyotihi. You know the word Chakrapani. He who has a chakra in his pani, pani means hand, he who has a chakra in his hand is Chakrapani. That is simple Bahuri. But you can coin a Bahuri Samasa. Kim Panihi Vishnu. That means, what does he have in his hand is the little adapted translation. So Kim is a interrogative pronoun. That becomes part of a compound. Kim Jyotirayam Purusha. Let's make the matter simple. What is the light in a human being? And Yajnavalkya, without batting an eyelid, says, Aditya Jyotihi Samrat O Samrat, O Emperor, a human being sees things because of sunlight. He has sun as his light. Adityaha Jyotihi Yasya Saha. Aditya Jyotihi is an adjective to Naraha Purushaha. And he elaborates. Yājnavalkya elaborates. Adityena eva ayam jyotisha aste. You and I look around, and then if we are a bit tired, we take a seat. Aste. We sit down. Palyayate. In Sanskrit, at a lot of places, la and ra are interchangeable. Palyayate is same as paryayate, la and ra. L and R of English alphabets. Palyayate. Therefore, rasaha and lasaha mean the same. Palyayate. So what is palyayate? Palyayate is paryayate. What is paryayate? Pari plus ayate. Paryatana, you know. Pari ayana. Pari atana means going round. A human being is able to go around, walk long distances. Why does he not fall? Because he sees. If there is a pit, he sees, avoids the pit. If there is a thorn, he avoids the thorn. If he sees some other dangerous thing, or if he sees a vehicle passing by, he waits for the vehicle to go. Therefore, it is the sunlight which empowers a human being to sit or stand, to move or stop. Karma kurute, thus varieties of actions. Viparyeti, there also la to be replaced with ra for easier understanding. Viparyeti. Paryeti means goes around, goes out. Viparyeti means returns. He goes places and then returns to his home base. Janaka knew this quite well. He says, Evameva etat. Yājnavalkya, you are right. I too understand. This is very well said. It is in sunlight that so much of human activities take place. Therefore, to begin the discussion at least, the sun is our light. And I don't have to go into some elaboration. In Sanatana Dharma, there is so much of upasana, so many mantras about the sun, Surya, so much of adoration. The sun is brought into even health. Aditya Adiched Arogyam goes a saying. Those who advise us to live in harmony with nature ask us to be in the sun for some time. Walk in the sun. Do not sit inside. Don't be within the four walls all the time. Many of your health problems are simply because you did not expose yourself to the sun on a daily basis. So we need not go more, but Sanatana Dharma gives a great pride of place to the sun. But then, having acknowledged and nodded to the answer by Yājnavalkya, Janaka continues, Astamite Aditye. Astamite, E dhatu is same as Astangate, Gam dhatu. Astam Yate, Ya dhatu. So, when the sun goes to Asta, the sun sets, Yajnavalkya Sambodhana. O Yajnavalkya, Kim Jyotihi Ayam Purushaha, Kim Jyotihi Eva Ayam Purushaha. What does a human being have as the light to know things? The discussion moves very slowly. Yajnavalkya answers, Chandramaha eva asya jyotir-bhavati iti Chandramasi. Chandramasa, by Chandra, by moon, meaning by moonlight. So when the sun sets at night, simple setting. The Upanishadic style is like that. It starts with very simple metaphors, simple similes, very simple setting scenarios. And then before you realize what is happening, Upanishads take you to dizzy heights of spiritual wisdom. Chandramasa eva ayam jyotisha, by that light, aste sits or stands, palyayate moves about, karma kurute does varieties of activities, vipalyeti or viparyeti, iti evam eva. Evam eva etad Yājnavalkya. This also doesn't surprise him much. He is very patient. The teacher is patient, the student is very patient, and they move further. Janaka says, yes, I understand. It is so, it is so. I fully appreciate you are calling the moon the light by which humanity knows things, moves. Now the question is, Astam ite aditye, by Sandhi it becomes Astamita. Don't think there is a typing error here. Astamite aditye, Yājnavalkya, Chandramasi, when the moon has set, Astamite, Astamite Aditye, Chandramasi Astamite, when the sun has set, when the moon also has set, both are included. When the sun has set and the moon also has set, neither the sun nor the moon are seen in the sky. Kim Jyoti Ayam Purusha? Iti. Thus is the question, and the answer by Yājnavalkya is Agnihi eva asya jyotir-bhavati. Then a human being lights up fire, and in the light of fire he sees things. If he is traveling, he carries light as a lamp or as a torch and so on. Agnihi eva asya jyoti. See how simple. But these simple beginnings will lead us to deep contemplation, where it is in fact a challenge even to advanced scholars. Whether this light of consciousness is one or many. Is the light of consciousness the same in waking state as in dream? Or do dream and waking state have two different lights? And in deep sleep, is there any light at all, or is it all darkness? And is the light of consciousness on par with objects of the world? Is the light of consciousness as real as a table or chair? As you know, Advaita Vedanta takes us to a certain very interesting revelation that actually the light of consciousness is 100% true. And if you have the philosophical maturity and you have done the necessary sadhana, table and chair, your uncle and aunt, your all mountains and rivers, all of them are a mere appearance. Rajvam bhujangamaha iva sarvam vishvam bhati. They are not of the same order. The light of consciousness, which is one in waking, dream, and deep sleep, is the reality, is the only reality. It is itself Sat. Sat is not another reality. So such thought-provoking statements are made eventually, but at this moment, Jyotisha, Agnina Jyotisha. Agnina eva ayam Jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyeti. It is with the light of fire that is lit up that one is able to sit, aste, palyayate, go around, and karma kurute, do things, and vipalyeti, returns. Janaka nods again. You are right, you are right. I fully agree. We use the fire when there is neither sunlight nor moonlight. All right. But now the question is, Astamite Aditye, when the sun has set, hey Yajnavalkya, Chandramasi astam ite, when moon also has set. Shante agnau, fire also has slowly got over. Somebody put it out, or it itself slowly got extinguished. Then what is our light? By light is meant the knowing principle. What helps us know? How do we know things? And Yājnavalkya says, Vak eva asya jyoti. It is speech. Some of us may wonder, how can speech be light? Shankaracharya, with great patience, explains all this. What is meant by speech becoming light is, let's say you are standing in dark, no sun, no moon, no fire, but you need to go to a place which is maybe just 20 feet away, but you don't know in which direction. How do we know? How do we know? That time, your friend who invited you to his house, you came very close to his house, then power failed. Nowadays, it's pitch dark. You are a little confused. In which direction should I move? A friend of yours claps. That is vak. Vak means shabda. And you hear the sound. Oh, yes, I know in what direction to move. Acharya Shankara in his commentary says, like speech, sometimes it could be smell also. Smelling certain odor, certain special smell, you know which direction to go. So, indriyas get to know, like speech, plus other sound and smell, and so on. So, sound represents some other signals, not something with which eyes can see, but one can infer. Maybe the skin gets to see that in one direction, if you move a few steps, it's hot. If I move a few steps in the opposite direction, it's cold. And I have to go to a cool place now. That much I know. So the skin recognizes the coolness in a certain direction. Such things. Vageva ayam, Vageva atra jyotihi, Vacha evam jyotisha, Aste palyate karma kurute viparyati. They repeat. Tasmadvai samrat. O king, O emperor, yatra swaha panir na vinirnayate. Sometimes it is so dark, you don't even see your own hand. Panihi na vidnayate. Even your hand is not seen or known. Unless you bring both the hands close and this hand then knows this. Right hand knows the left by touching, left hand knows the right by touching. Otherwise, if you are not making any movements, you don't even know the hand. Yatra swaha panihi na vinirnayate ata yatra vagucharati. Somebody then says, come here, I'm here, come. Do you hear me? Come towards me. Then upa eva tatra niyati. Upanayati. Upa niyati. Goes, upa gacchati. Then you move towards the sound. Then that is where your friend, the person who invited you, is standing. So you got to know your knowledge, where to go, came from a sound. Now comes the last part. This is the last selected mantra for this evening. And Yājnavalkya has to hear this question. He hears this question from King Janaka. Aditye astamite, Chandramasi astamite, Agnau shante, Vachi shantayam. All the four sources of light which were mentioned before, the sun, the moon, fire, and speech, all of them have become quiet. None of it is operating. Then what is the light by which we would know anything? What is the light? Kim Jyotihi or I am Purusha is the question. And the answer from the teacher Yājnavalkya to the student King Janaka is ātmā eva asya jyotihi. From nowhere this Atma came now. Otherwise, we know our body, we know all kinds of things we possess in our house, in our office. Stock taking. We take stock of things that we possess, and then we take stock of our own health, how good our hands or legs or eyes or nose are. We do diagnostics. But here comes the quantum leap. Atma evasya jyoti. Atmana jyotisha. By the light of the pure self, pure consciousness, we are able to sit or stand. We are able to move around. We can do things. Karma kurute. Vipalyeti. Therefore, in a step-by-step manner, taking a very simple, gross definition of knowing principle, or with what is that with which we know? Oh, we know because of sunlight and so on. The Upanishad brought us to the ultimate knowing principle. It knows everything. If at all you and I feel, oh, I don't know, I am such an alpajna. I know very little. Uh, Maybe there is no Atma inside me. Don't say that. Whether even if you are dead, there is Atma in you. You don't die really. Body dies. Even in a dead body, Atma is present, but it's not able to express. The Shuddha Atma of the Vedanta. We are not talking about the Jivatma. We are not talking about the Samsari Atma. The Shuddha Atma is Sarva Vyapi, Sarvajna. And in Brihadāranyaka, another place it is said, Pashyati achakshuhu shrunoti akarna. The pure self knows, it sees without eyes, it hears without ears. It is the source of all knowledge. But if you and I are not able to feel it, that saying I don't feel it itself is a lie. But yes, people say I don't know Atma. But what makes them say that? It is the mental noise. It is the asad graha, holding on to some falsehood so tightly that you say you don't know, you don't think you have the pure self and so on. Even to say I don't know the self, I don't believe in this Atma, I don't all that, to say that there is Atma in you. Atma is that which empowers you to say at your loudest voice, there is no Atma. Atma empowers you. Hiranyakashipu took his mace and hit hard the pillar, and Narasimha came out. But if there was anyone who gave Hiranyakashipu the strength to raise that gada, mace, and hit that pillar, saying, if God is inside this, let him come out, that strength he received from Narasimha only. That is the inside story. Narasimha is not just in the pillar. Narasimha was in Hiranyakashipu's heart also. So Atmana Jyotisha Aste Palyate Karma Guru Vipalyati. Therefore, friends, in 6 slides, I shared 6 mantras, but now all this is expressed by Adi Shankaracharya in a single shloka. It is called Ekashloki. Ekashlokis incidentally are a certain genre, certain category of compositions. In a single shloka, nothing, no other shloka, not even a single line before or after that shloka. That single verse has everything that the poet had to say. Interestingly, Shankaracharya's Ekashloki, which will be in the last next slide, seems to be inspired by this Jyotir-Brāhmana. There again, the first 6 or 7 mantras. Later on, what is this ātmā? Of what nature is it? How do we recognize the ātmā? Does the seer once in a while get suspended? Does the seer subside for a moment and then again gets back to position? That witnessing consciousness, does it go on holiday ever? All such questions are taken up in the mantras. Therefore, we will go into them in another webinar. But now we will conclude this by taking a look at Shankaracharya's Ekashloki. Very nicely composed, I guess, in Shardula Vikridita, the meter which has 19 syllables in each quarter, having 4 quarters. We have split each quarter into 2 lines, therefore this shloka seems to have 8 lines, but it is 4 quarters. Kim jyotistava bhanumanahani ratrau pradipadikam syadevam ravidipadarshana vidhau kim jyotir-bhavati me चक्षुस्कस्य निमीलनादि समये किं धीर्धियो दर्शने किं तत्राहमतो भवान् परमकं ज्योतिस्तदस्मि प्रभो. A teacher asks a student in this shloka, my dear student, tell me, what is the light in which you see things? Kim Jyotihi Tava? The student answers, Bhanuman. Bhanu and Bhanuman are the same. The sun, Ahani, during daytime. And during night, Ratrau, Pradipadikam, various kinds of lamps. Oh, is that so? Syadevam. Let it be so. Ravidipa Darshana Vidau. You see the sun, right? And you see a lamp. What makes you see the sun in the sky, the lamp placed on a table? The student thinks for a moment and says, Chakshuhu. I have eyes, sir. With my eyes, I am able to know this is a lamp, that is a table, this is a puppet, that is a pot, that's a cloth, this over there is the sun. I know things because I have eyes. Chakshuhu. Slightly different approach. The teacher is very patient. He says, all right, you say you see things with your eyes, therefore eyes are your light. Eyes are what make you see. But when your eyes close and when your eyes open, nimilana unmilana adi samaye, kim jyoti? The student says, that's a nice question, but I'm ready. Don't think you can embarrass me with that. I'm ready for the answer. When my eyes close or open, I know my eyes are closed now. I know my eyes have opened. And that is dhihi, mama buddhi, my intellect. The teacher says, that's wonderful. I'm glad you have come this far. Walk 2 steps further. Dhiyo darshani. How do you see the thought in you which says your eyes are closed? How do you notice the thought in you, the recognition in you that your eyes are open? Thought, you say, thought knows. Who knows thought? Dhiyaha darshane kim jyoti. With this, the shloka completes the ideas, but the dramatic end is the student had not gone that deep before. Going deep inside, he realizes that even dhihi or buddhihi is in the light of consciousness, and I am that consciousness. Tatra aham, I am that light which knows the operation of the mind, operation of thought, or sometimes non-operation of thought also is quietly known by the pure self. Aham eva jyotihi. Then the teacher compliments the student. Yes, Bhavan Paramam Jyoti. Paramam itself becomes Paramakam for metrical adjustment. Ato Bhavan Paramakam Jyoti, says the teacher. And the student, feeling extremely blessed, Tat Asmi Prabho, with gratitude, says to the teacher, Asmi, yes, I am that light. Now I see. Now I understand Vedanta. I am the light ultimately. Everything else comes and goes. Everything else is uncertain. But I am and I see. Sat and Chit are irrefutably true. Tadasmi Prabho, I am that, O Master, says the student. With this, we have given a certain rough idea what this section on light is all about, but there is much more to see, which we shall do in another webinar. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo, Namah Paramarashibhyaha.
Pujya Swamiji.
Yes, please tell me.
Wonderful, wonderful teachings. In the past, about several months ago, I said a devotee should think twice before he asks a question. What I meant by that is, you can ask whatever question you want, but think. Look at the question King Janaka asked. Same thing came about in Bhagavatam. Shukabrahma praises Parikshit for asking a question of highest order.
Oh.
Yes. The reason for that is, if you ask a question that has to benefit all the participants in the highest order possible, doesn't mean you have to always not try, but at least you have to try when you ask a question to Swami Chidananda. At least I still try to scratch his mind so that I get the best answer. With that said, the question itself is important for me in a sense that it brought out so much. That way you can elaborate on so much by the question he asked. I want devotees to keep that in mind when they ask a question. Is that fair to say?
What is fair to say?
The question you ask has to be reasonably fair. That doesn't mean you should not ask any questions. Let's say a devotee is there in your class for 10 years. And there will give you an example. One Swamiji said, one devotee used to ask the same question to every Swamiji. So that he wants to find the different answers. That's being stupid. Your comment.
Yeah. See, different teachers have different temperaments. Some teachers don't mind any question asked in any manner. In fact, they will come around, they will say something which will be of benefit to the student. Some other teachers might be rather impatient and intolerant of silly questions. They may feel that some silly questions being asked are a waste of time of everybody. Therefore, they may ask the student, if not angrily, in a very loving manner, go back and revise your studies, then come again. Looks like you have not been doing swadhyaya. Therefore, there is no rigid rule in these matters. Broad examples are given and some inspiration is given.
I understand that. I understand.
Fine, yeah. As you know, in the story of Ribhu and Nidhaga, the teacher falls down and the student sits upon him. The teacher allows the student to sit upon his chest. And but the teacher very patiently continues his instruction. When the student says, you are asking what is up and what is down, the king is up and this elephant is down. But the teacher says, no, I don't understand. What is up, what is down? The student says, oh, you foolish fellow. The student doesn't recognize that the man on whom he has sat or on whose chest he has sat is the teacher in Ribhu and Nidhaga story. Then student says, you foolish fellow, you are down and I am up here. And then the teacher very patiently says, now I have another question. What is meant by you? What is meant by I? How do we distinguish you and I? What criteria? Then the student realizes that this is such a philosophical question. How do we define you? I have to say you are you and I, but that is not a proper way. It's like I ask you what is blue, if I say blue is blue. If I ask you what is ice cream, you say ice cream is ice cream, then I won't be satisfied. You should describe ice cream in terms of some other things that are known. So can you say you are you and I am I? So then the student closely looks at the eyes and features of the teacher on whose chest he is sitting angrily, then asks forgiveness. So there is that extreme story of unbelievable patience on the part of the teacher. And then there are examples of teachers who get angry at the drop of a hat, curse the student, Vishwamitra, and who is that other fellow, very Durvasa Muni, that type. Even when the student or the devotee is not at fault, they get annoyed. Then it is said it is all God's will. Thank you. Your question is, I'm sure many others also have that kind of question.
Thank you.
In the chat box, there's a request.
Chat box has a request. Let me see. There are only Namaste and Hari Om. Or is it in some other box? Chat box, only these two are there.
Yeah, it is, I think, sent to me instead of to Janvi.
Okay, you send it to all.
Yeah.
Forward it to all. All can see. Correct. Yeah, sometimes there is a choice whether to send to a particular participant, to all, or to all. So if one has not noticed it, it might go to only one particular person, not to all. It should go to all in this kind of case.
Swamiji, Hari Om.
Hari Om. Yeah, tell me.
Just to make a comment on the question that the gentleman had mentioned, thank you for being a kind teacher, a patient teacher. You belong to the patient teacher category.
I don't know whether I am a kind teacher, but I am a kind of a teacher. A kind of a teacher. Some kind of a teacher I am.
a patient teacher where students can ask questions multi-times.
Am I an outpatient or inpatient?
Thank you. It's just a comment.
I want to comment again. I'm not against anybody asking questions. I'm not a teacher, so go with whatever the teacher says.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Swamiji, one question. Can I ask?
Please do.
Yeah. In that sloka, Kim Jyotistava Bhanumana Hanime. So every line has the question and the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jyotistava. And during the day, what is the light that you see?
What is it? Yeah.
During the day,
Correct. The
How it-
Bhanuman Ahanime is the student's answer. Sun is my light, Ahani, during daytime.
During Bhanamanu means during day, it's the sun.
Yeah. Ahani, Bhanuman.
Sun.
Ahani means during daytime. Bhanuman, sun.
Oh.
Ratrau, during night.
Chandra.
Pradeepadikam.
Okay. Thank you.
I said in my lecture also.
For
Sorry?
every line, student's question is there and the teacher's answer is
That
there.
is there. I mean, that answer might flow into next
Next.
line, but it's there are 4 quarters, let us say. So sometimes the question may be in the second quarter, answer may be the third. So that is poetic adjustment. But yeah, if you just keep continuously reading, question is followed by answer, answer is followed by next question, then again answer. That's how it goes.
Swamiji, where is this question, where does it appear in this Upanishad? Which adhyaya?
This Ekashloki is not from any Upanishad. It's an independent single verse composed by Adi Shankaracharya, as we believe, which is summing up these discussions.
But how does it find a place here?
I just, as a parallel. Yeah. Next time I may add even a Kannada cinema song saying that, see, this song also is giving Upanishad truths.
Okay.
Then some of you who know Kannada may nod. Yes, right. We also thought of it. So I just added in these slides showing a parallel because not all have studied the Jyotir-Brāhmana of Brihadāranyaka Upanishad, but this Ekashloki is a popular one published in many magazines, many souvenirs, many places scholars sing it. It's simple and nice.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yes, Swamiji, can you please check the chat box? There is one more question also.
Ah, I can see that now. Hari Om, can you please put slide 3 and 4 again? I can. For in Zoom, it is very simple. Google Meet always I have problem. So slides 3 and 4, I'm now going to slide 1, then slide 2. Slide 3 is this, Astamite Aditye. Yeah, on that you may have a question. Then slide 4 is this Astamite Aditya, it goes further to Agni. Agni eva asya jyoti is slide 4. Slide 3 is Chandrama eva asya jyoti. Oh, I think there is a title mistake here. I have put it is the sun, but this third slide introduces the moon. Yeah, these slides, slide number and that shloka number are different. Yeah, this is slide 2 of 7. Anyway, whatever I'm showing now, slide number also is 2 and shloka number also is 2. Okay, this says Aditya is the Jyoti. It is sun could have been titled here. Could have been better. This one introduces Chandrama. See third line, Chandrama evasya Jyoti, moon. Then this Agni evasya. Here the sun, here the title could have been moon. So was it why you wanted me to show again? You found a small typing error probably. You could type your comment again. Let me see whether I can see meanwhile. Oh. No, I see I have to stop sharing, then see this slide. So, I will send the whole, all the 6 slides to Ibaji. You may take it from her. Shamala asks, whether in Aditya Hridaya Tattvajnana is there or is it only for chanting? I have not studied Aditya Hriday in detail, but it is, I think, not Brahmajnana or Atmajnana. It is Surya Upasana. It is Upasana. It is not mere chanting, but there is the training of the mind, lifting the mind to appreciate a divine power that the Surya is, Aditya Surya is. So I talked about Surya, sun for health, and I said there are many upasanas, many shlokas, stotras of sun. Aditya Hriday is a very good example of that. That is what Rama receives from which Rishi is that?
Agastya. No.
Agastya. From Agastya Rishi.
Maybe wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Agastya. He receives it from Agastya as for a moment he loses heart and feels a little diffidence. Will I be able to kill Ravana? Then Agastya Muni says, Rama, recite this and you will receive all energy from the sun and you will be able to defeat, kill Ravana. Sorry? Yeah. So it's an upasana. Upasana is not the non-dual Brahman. Upasana takes us to a very lofty contemplation on a very exalted deity, Surya, Chandra, nowadays Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Devi, Ganesha. So our mind rises to a very great height, but we remain the devotee and Rama, suppose. Rama is a god. So that division of the god whom you worship and you as the worshipper remains in Upasana. In the Atmajnana of the Advaita Vedanta, the jnana is marked by erasure of the division. Therefore, Aditya Hriday is an Upasana. There is jnana. See, broadly, jnana, everything is jnana. But in technically rigorous treatment of Advaita Vedanta, that is jnana where duality is falsified. In Upasana, duality, Dvaita is not falsified, it is rather glorified.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then one or
Sucheta ji has asked something, Swami.
yeah, Sucheta ji has asked, a student is supposed to ask questions related to Vedanta? Yes, certainly. Our tradition encourages students to ask questions. But suppose some students ask questions with a very irrationally and sometimes with some wrong motives, sometimes out of some hidden ulterior intentions. Then there are instances where the teachers take the student to a task. In Brihadāranyaka, there is one Vidagdha Shakalya who goes on asking questions, and the same Yājnavalkya finally says, you ask that question once more, your head will fall on the ground. And that happens. His head falls on the ground, some thieves come and pick up that head and run away. That's the story. But it has some hidden, it has very nice interpretation. So, students are permitted to ask questions subject to certain sense of responsibility and so on. They should not waste other students' time. Okay, one new message. Let me see. 2135. No, I wanted to take a picture. Oh, okay. Oh, you took a picture. Yeah, the title was that moon was not put as a title. Of the where Aditya is introduced, that could have had a title. I'll correct it. So use this again in the next webinar. Oh, there is one longer question here. Let us take this as the last one. Sushmaji. When everything in Vedas and Upanishads, all that is to be learned and known is condensed to one line, like in Mahavakya or one shloka, how come we move back and forth into worldly things again. Why is realization so difficult? How can we come closer to these learnings? Yeah, it's because of a whole lot of our past. It's like somebody took a rope and sent it 50 rounds around himself. He bound himself. Yeah, so in a manner of saying, so 50 rounds one by one has to be undone. But that is not to create a very, very hopeless scenario. But it's just a teaching technique. You must appreciate or you must understand that we all have our purva vasanas. However, with the sincere submission, the vasanas, the purva vasanas, the old tendencies of ages and ages, lives and lives could all be burnt in an instant. That is also true. But when that kind of grace descends upon us, we do not know. But when it is said, yes, smarana matrena, what is that?
Janma samsara bandhanat
Janma sansara bandhanat vimuchyate namastasmai Vishnave, Prabha Vishnave. Such things come here and there. It is true. Even J. Krishnamurti says, time is not a factor in awakening. The time itself is part of the illusion. So time, if one goes on thinking, I will need at least 3 more lives. Others are all ahead. I am such a wretched person. I need 3 more lives. Like that, if somebody gets that, thinking is the problem. To say that I need 3 more lives is not the truth. You may need 3 more minutes, who knows? But if you are thinking like that, so Ramana used to say, drop that thinking. Stop that saying to yourself, I am gone, I am lost. So J. Krishnamurti also, don't allow thought to carry you away. Watch the thought. That witnessing consciousness, which notices thoughts, has no time in it. But when we identify with thoughts, we are in the domain of thoughts. Time gains such a momentum. Time gets such a solidity about it. Time looks so solid. Time looks solidly real. Oh, Ravindra Murthy. Would I be right if I say Kathopanishad Mantra 214 will help us to see I, the consciousness, lights up the contents of all that is experienced as a fact of life. True. I think last time also you quoted that Swapnantam Jagaritantam cha, that mantra. Yes. Swapna, Jagarita, these are the two states where names and forms are perceived. In deep sleep, there are no names and forms. So Swapnantam Jagaritantam. The content of dreams, content of waking are all illumined by one truth, and that truth is to be known. That's what Kathopanishad says. That's a wonderful summary of a whole lot of Vedantic teachings, yes. But however concisely and briefly a summary may be given somewhere, right guidance and clarity about what it means are needed. The words themselves cannot take us anywhere. Clarity. So it's good to learn from good teachers, discuss with some good students, exchange thoughts. Then some false idea to which we might have been holding, drop away. Sri Krishna himself says some of us are like mirrors. No, some of us are like the smoke upon fire. Just by blowing some air, the smoke goes away, the fire burns brightly. Some of us are like the mirror on which dust has sat. You need a piece of cloth and you have to wipe the surface of the mirror. Some of us are like the womb covered by embryo growing. What is that? Mother's womb. Embryo in mother's womb. Dhume navriyate vannihi yatha adarsho malena cha yatha ulbe navrato garbha tatha tene damavratam. So these are all excellent explanations, but deep in our heart we must have faith in God's infinite mercy. No matter what a sinner I have been for lives and lives, my God is so powerful and so merciful that He will write off all my misdeeds. In that way, Tameva Sharanam Gacha, Sarva Bhavena Bharata, Krishna says at the end. Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Sthanam Prapsesi Shashvatam. Surrender to Him with full faith, and all your backlog, everything will be written away, written off. You will be freed. That's where the irrelevance of time is supported by our scriptures too. Time is not a factor in awakening, says J. Krishnamurti in his very intellectually appealing language. A lot of our literature is more than being intellectual. They are intellectual at places, very intellectual, but many other places it is faith-based. It is, praising God's glory and so on. They all merge at some point. Okay.
Good night. Sakku.
Anybody speaking there? No.
No.
All right, we'll meet again after 2 weeks. And yes, someone has said Dhanyavad. Namaste. Rashibhyo Namaha. Ramaya.